Hey, Mike, we're 15% of the way through the season. Did you know that?
Oh, for fuck's sakes, are you serious already?
Yeah, 15%. And there's still guys out there who you should be picking up. Let's talk about that.
Let's do it. Producer.
Can we try that one again?
Which one? Like the intro part?
Yeah, because let's talk about that as from another show. I don't know why it came out of my mouth.
Oh, okay. Let's do a redo. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Go.
Hey, Mike, did you know that the football season is 15% of the way through?
I do now. Thanks for ruining it.
Yeah. And there's guys out there on the waiver wire that you should be picking up. Let's talk about whom.
Let's go, buddy. So we had a busy week 3. I mean, it's a tough one to get through. You know, the tight end position is in complete dismay. You don't know who to play at any given time. We have some emerging quarterbacks that are just lighting up the league. And fantasy teams, fantasy managers need to know who the big picks up are for this week. And I think we got the news for them, bigz. Do you want to get us started off with your quarterback / tight end, or either or if you got one of each, then hit it up, my man.
Well, my first one, I'm going to talk about a tight end, and this is not somebody to go pick up right now. But it's somebody to keep your eye on, and that's tight end from the Cincinnati Bengals, Eric All. He's a rookie out of Penn State, and I think he had 4 targets in his last game. They're playing Washington tonight. Currently, as we speak, this was last night, apparently, because this isn't a live show. What do you think we do, live stuff? And so I haven't picked up Eric All in all of my leagues where I need a tight end, but my eye is definitely on him. I do want to talk about the quarterback position, though. Right now, I'm looking at 2 guys. One of them is available in 63% of leagues. The other is available in 85% of leagues, and that is Sam Darnold and Geno Smith. And if you don't know already that Sam Darnold and Geno Smith are going to finish in the top 15 in quarterbacks this season with really healthy rest of season stats, you're tripping. Daniel Jones is still there too, and he does have one secret weapon in his back pocket, and that's Malik Neighbors. But I want to address Sam Darnold real quick. Sam Darnold currently leads guys on this waiver wire with 57.78 points. He had 19.92 in his last, and he is averaging 19.3 points per game. That is solid at the quarterback position, and he's not going anywhere. He's throwing touchdowns every week to Jalen Naylor. He's got Justin Jefferson on his team. He can throw the ball to Aaron Jones and to Ty Chandler. On top of that, he's going to have TJ Hawkinson come back at some point in the next 3 or 4 weeks. Sam Darnold, if he's not on your team right now, you grab him ASAP. Make sure he's part of your waiver additions tonight.
Yeah, he is a top 3 quarterback right now, currently playing lights out. That defense, Flores has got him playing like on another level. And this whole Vikings team, how do you part ways with Sam Darnold at the end of the season if he's playing like this? So we'll have to see how this season continues to evolve, but they got him playing in the right system. He's had time to, learn the league, play under a bunch of different coaches, play under a bunch of different quarterbacks. And now he's he's got that mobility. He's got a great arm, and he's showing it right now. He just, needed some help with that decision making and quick processing, and it looks like he's doing that. And we didn't even mention Jordan Addison coming back in either. So, that's another weapon as well that is also that could be surrounded him by. So, yeah, great call on that, bigz.
I have an answer for your rhetorical question. They do re-sign him. They keep him as their QB1, and they let JJ McCarthy percolate and incubate. And JJ McCarthy was the youngest quarterback in the NFL draft in 2024.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be on the field. And if Sam Darnold takes this team to the NFC Championship game or to the Super Bowl or something crazy like that, there's no reason for JJ McCarthy to see the field next year except in garbage time.
Exactly.
And Sam Darnold is the dude. So even you dynasty folks, grab Sam Darnold up because he's going to be around for a while.
A long time, whether it's with the Vikings or not, because he's playing himself into a contract next year, folks, and he's a guy you gotta circle because he's playing some really good football right now. I'm gonna get into my top waiver wire ad at the kind of the QB / tight end split here. I'm gonna talk about a tight end actually, and he emerged on Thursday night, and he's a must add for me and headed into week 4 for the season. After a slow start where he managed only 2 receptions on 16 yards in the first 2 games, Ty Conklin exploded in the Jets' recent matchup against the Patriots, catching 5 passes for 93 yards. This type of performance not only highlighted his potential, but also showed how vital he can be to the Jets' offense, especially with Aaron Rodgers under center. He looked like he shook off a bunch of rust and looked, had some glimpse of the Aaron Rodgers from the past there. So something to keep your eye on. And with how, it's been pretty scarce at the tight end position the first 3 weeks of the year. We had a couple big performances, but nobody's emerging. So if we can get some consistent production out of that position, I think maybe Ty Conklin could be a guy that could get you your 4 to 5 targets a week and be somebody that could be serviceable in a position that is varying so much right now in the league. The scoring's down at the tight end position the first 3 weeks of the year, so we'll have to see how that continues. We got a touchdown tonight by Dalton Kincaid, a really big game from Dallas Goedert, so that is increasingly getting better here. So we'll have to see what happens with like Trey McBride now suffering that concussion, and we saw Sam Laporta with that ankle injury as well. So not great news for the tight end position. So a guy like Ty Conklin could be a guy that could come in and play a serviceable role if you're already hurt at that position or is struggling in it with a guy like Travis Kelce, who's not really performing up to snuff at this stage.
Yeah, it seems like it's just a repeat of last year where every week the news just doesn't get better. I have Tyler Conklin in a league. We've been waiting years for Tyler Conklin to break out, and he had one good week. But I mean, you invested in tight end, which is what I told you not to do. I told you to stream tight end, but instead you took Sam Laporta or Trey McBride in your draft, and now you're suffering for it. So you may as well go out and get Tyler Conklin now.
Absolutely. All right, Biggs.
Let's get to the wide receivers, and for this first one, I do want to take my flowers, give myself a nice little pat on the back with you know what, I'll save it because he's coming up in your section. All right, I've been talking about this guy all off season, and I just want to go and say that right now Darnell Mooney is one of the top 36 wide receivers in fantasy, and his snap percentage and target share is only increasing by the week. When I look at my waiver wires at the wide receiver position, it goes in order like this: Quentin Johnston, Darnell Mooney, Alec Pierce, Andre Yoshevitz, and Jalen Naylor. I have them ranked by what they scored in their last game this weekend. Okay. When I change it to the season, Alec Pierce is still there. Quentin Johnston is still there. Jalen Naylor is still there. Darnell Mooney is still there. Wan'Dale Robinson, who we told you before to pick up, is still there. Allen Lazard, who we told you before to pick up, is right at the top on this waiver board. Average ownership is in the 60s of these wide receivers. They're all available. Go out and get them. Now it's Mike's turn, and I will give myself a pat on the back for who I told you to pick up last week.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I love it. Darnell Mooney. We're on fire. I mean, we talked about some of these.
I'm talking about last week. Who I said last week is who you have this week.
And
as if they didn't listen to me already.
And just like in the quarterback section, I had Sam Darnold, and you had him this week. And this week I have who do I have? I got a couple of wide receivers here. I'm going to talk a little bit about Calvin Austin and Juwan Jennings. You talked about Juwan Jennings last week. Boom, boom, boom.
And what did he do?
He had the biggest game of the year for a wide receiver, and bigz had it pegged. So
thank you.
And if you had the bollocks to start him,
here's your Sam Darnold flowers too.
Yes, exactly. We both
Khalil Shakir
nailed them.
Khalil Shakir just scored a touchdown, who I told you all to pick up too.
Boom. Let's go, you guys. So let's keep the hits coming here. So talked about, Juwan Jennings. His rostership probably headed into the weekend got a little bit inflated because of the news from George Kittle. So his rostership is probably getting up there, but he's still a guy that you got to keep your eye on, especially with the situation in San Francisco. Christian McCaffrey took a flight to Germany to take a look at his tendonitis, so that can't be good news for them. Deebo Samuel still banged up. George Kittle, still don't know what's going to happen with him leading into this week too. So Juwan Jennings could have another game where he's relied upon here. So get in on him. And a guy that we haven't talked about really yet on the show here in quite some time. And that's Calvin Austin. And I liked his performance last week. He firmly positioned himself, to me, in my eyes, as a top waiver target in the wide receiver position. After his great performance against the Chargers in a game where he caught 4 passes for 55 yards and that touchdown. That was a big touchdown. Sorry, that was a 55-yard touchdown for 95 yards. He's shown that big playability. It not only highlights his explosiveness, but also indicates a growing chemistry with Justin Fields. And that's where this equation kind of, sets the tone here. I see Justin Fields starting to come in on his own. It looks like, he's played himself into a role here as the starting quarterback. Arthur Smith put him in a position to succeed this last week, giving him some momentum. He started the game 10 for 10. Granted, it was only for like 55 yards, but getting that momentum, getting those touches in there, creating that opportunity. Now he was able to take some deeper shots. He was able to thread the needle on that 55-yard touchdown pass, which looked really, really good. And I just think that Calvin Austin is, opened himself up, and he could be that number 2 target in that offense that maybe might start passing more. Because look what happened. We see Najee Harris now banged up, Jaylen Warren banged up now. So that whole running back room is now a little bit hurt. So we'll have to see what happens. Calvin Austin has got the speed, so they could be using him a little bit more as well. So a sneaky guy, not somebody that I would spend a whole lot of my fab on, but a guy that I would look at getting on those deeper rosters. And you never know, the number 2 target in Pittsburgh Steelers offense in the past has been a very, very advantageous play there. And Calvin Austin could be that guy with, the slow start, from the rookie there. What's his name? Wilson, I think his last name was Roman Wilson. You better check. Yes. Roman Wilson. There we go.
Yeah, I hate to say it. I'm never wrong. I'm just sometimes early or late. And I'm late to the Justin Fields party. I still maintain that it's Russell Wilson's job when he comes back, but the question remains. It hangs there in the air like humidity in the South. When is that going to be? So yeah, I missed the boat on Justin Fields, and I'm ashamed of it. But that's fine because I've got Derek Carr to warm me at night. All right. Shall we move on to the running backs?
Let's go. Yeah. Let's hit them up.
I want to talk about a running back situation that I've been waiting 3 years for. I'm looking at the Chicago Bears, and I'm looking at the snap share. And snap share in the Chicago Bears running back room in week 3 consisted of a 37% snap share for Roschon Johnson and 53% snap share for DeAndre Swift. Khalil Herbert was left behind. He was only in on 9 snaps for a 10% snap share. He also played just as much on special teams as Roschon Johnson did. They both had 13 special team snaps for 57% snap share of the special team snaps. But what I'm trying to get at is that Roschon Johnson had been hurt for the first couple weeks of the season, and as he's made his way back into the lineup, he has now surpassed Khalil Herbert. I've been waiting for this with bated breath. The reason that he's my waiver wire priority right now is because this weekend he had 30 rushing yards to DeAndre Swift's 20 rushing yards. He had 32 receiving yards to DeAndre Swift's 22 receiving yards on fewer snaps. Okay? He had 8 rushes to DeAndre Swift's 13 rushes. He also had more catches and a higher catch rate. They had the same number of targets. Roschon had one more. Roschon Johnson outscored DeAndre Swift in fantasy. It's time to put your DeAndre Swift shares to bed because Roschon Johnson is coming. And once he gets there, it's over. He is the guy. We've been waiting on this ultimate talent since the 2022 draft when he and Bijan Robinson both came out of the University of Texas. He found himself with, in some aspects, in some metrics, superior skills to what Bijan Robinson was bringing to the table. But he's found himself in an absolutely terrible, terrible offense where Luke Getsy couldn't figure out how to implement Roschon Johnson into the game plan. They had a terrible offensive line. Roschon Johnson is going to be there. Grab him now before everybody else is saying he's the ultimate waiver wire ad in week 5 or week 6 or week 7 or whenever he hits. Stash him now.
All right. Stash him now.
That's all I got to say about that.
You bring passion to that Roschon Johnson take.
I've been waiting so long.
It's like a pressure release valve for you there, Biggs.
And when I thought everything was going to change, they go out and they get DeAndre Swift. And then when I thought everything was going to change, he was hurt for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
His debut, his debutante breakout in fantasy has to come at some point. And I'm going to be holding the shares when it happens. He's my number 1 owned player in Dynasty.
I love it, Biggs. Want to hear about community? Well, we're going to bring you some community, and that's at the Fantasy Sports Advice Network. Get in there, and we're going to tell you all about it right now.
We are here. We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com today.
That's a velvety voice, I have to say.
Yeah, Dan Mater.
Mm-hmm.
If you need Dan Mater for some voiceover, go ahead and hit us up on Fantasy Sports Advice Network.
Yeah, we could probably make that happen. Eh, Biggs?
You'll find him over there.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to talk about a loss for me, and maybe it's just sometimes you got to come to terms with a player that maybe you weren't high on, and maybe they're coming around, and maybe you got to come to terms with maybe a situation that you don't want to come to terms with, and it looks like it's ever evolved. Maybe I was wrong about Bucky Irving, and it looks like he's emerging a little bit here in this Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense. And from somebody that didn't, test well at the combine, he looked slow. He looks a lot faster in real life, and maybe Schultze was right with us a little bit here. He was telling us we were maybe not so smart in our group chat there, but I don't know. Bucky Irving's emerging here. He's been very efficient with his carries, so he's going to be a hot topic this week. He's going to be a hot waiver wire ad, and I don't necessarily think he surpasses Rachaad White. I just think Rachaad White is built more for that early down roll. Bucky's a smaller running back, even though he's been more efficient. I just can't see him handling the full workload that a Rachaad White can do. So I think they're going to be more of a 1-2 punch, maybe splitting some carries here. And but somebody that's definitely rosterable and somebody you're going to have to see about playing. And it's going to be hard to know when to play Bucky Irving when you do play him, but he's going to be a hot pickup, and he's my waiver wire pickup here at the running back position. And an honorable mention there for Emmanuel Wilson there from the Green Bay Packers, who emerged really good. In the last, a lot of people had him on the week 1 waiver wire pickup. He slowed down week 2, but he's back on it now. And somebody else that you should be looking at investing in as well, especially with how this Green Bay Packer offense has looked, getting Jordan Love back. And the way Josh Jacobs has looked as well has not been very good. So somebody else that you should probably be looking at there is Emmanuel Wilson. And any other quick hitters, Biggs, that you might want to add to our waiver wire list that we might have missed, and people that might need to keep their eye on, or maybe a stash for future weeks, like your Roschon Johnson, that's a must add now, but could be the darling of next week's waiver wire.
Well, I do want to bring up the Bucky Irving situation, and we see it just about every week where there's somebody who becomes the darling of the fantasy football scuttlebutt in the Twitterverse. And I want people, when they are searching the waiver wire, to be a little bit measured in what they're doing and look a little bit deeper than some of the surface statistics that we're able to see. Rachaad White is sharing snaps with Bucky Irving at a point that he hasn't before. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Bucky Irving is going to emerge, break out. And there are a lot of running back situations in the NFL where you have one guy who is the go-to guy, and then a guy who's behind him that comes in and gets good efficiency. There's a reason for that. Bucky Irving is a third down satellite-ish receiving back. So what happens when the defense sees him come in is they drop back to a nickel, or they go to like a 3-3 fire zone or something like that. And Bucky Irving finds himself some space. Meanwhile, Rachaad White is coming in on first down and second down, and the defense is geared up to stop the run. So those efficiency metrics can be a little bit deceiving, especially in the first 3 weeks of the season. Guys like Emmanuel Wilson, guys like Alexander Mattison, who has done absolutely nothing but vulture a touchdown each game. I'm going to continue to say it. Alexander Mattison is not going to score a touchdown in every game. And so far, 2 out of the 3 weeks, I've been wrong. but it's just not the case that Alexander Mattison is going to take over the job from Zamir White. It's not a matter of Alexander Mattison. It's not a matter of him being better than Zamir White. It's a matter of, there are some game situations in which they're favorable to Alexander Mattison. And the fact that the Raiders offensive line has been absolute garbage and Zamir White can do nothing. So once all that gets cleaned up, Zamir White starts having better games. Alexander Mattison starts sitting a little bit more. His efficiency starts to go down. Bucky Irving's in a similar situation. There is one guy that I don't see that for. I see his output continuing. So this is a business decision that you need to make. Is this guy contributing points at your running back or flex position? Because he's going to be averaging about 10 points a week, and that's Braelon Allen of the New York Jets. If that is going to be an advantageous situation for you, go ahead and jump on it, because there are going to be days where he has a game like he did the other day. Again, it's not his job. It's Breece Hall's job, and it's not going to take anything away from Breece Hall. Breece Hall is still going to do his thing. But Braelon Allen is going to be the biggest contributor in the backup running back position for the rest of the season. So don't hesitate to pick him up either.
Yeah, and we said Braelon Allen last week too, so we're just a week ahead on some of these picks there, Biggs, and
we said pick up Braelon Allen, and boom.
Yeah, he went off. Yeah, exactly. So we're a week ahead of where we need to be. And the whole Bucky Irving situation, like we talk about, like we're not super high on him, but the situation there is something that, you know, it's our job to bring that up to our viewers, and he's going to be a hot ad, and we got to, you know, make that situation known and give our viewers also the our rundown as well. Like, you know, he's a smaller back who, you know, he won't get it, the lion's share of that role. Like, regardless if Rachaad White gets injured, he won't get that. He's not built to do that. So he'll be a decent complementary guy. We're confident in Rachaad White's role. He may not, you know, be that top 12 running back anymore, but he should fit in as a top, you know, RB2 with some high upside there on weeks where he can punch in and get some scoring there on favorable game scripts. So, yeah.
I think we need to check in on Schultz. We're recording this on Monday night, and Josh Allen just threw a touchdown to Ty Johnson, backup running back, and it's 33-3 Bills over the Jaguars, and it's still the end of the second quarter. So we're going to wrap this up. Go to FSAN and become a member and all that stuff, and find us and communicate with us and all that stuff. On Twitter, I'm at BigBonedFFB. He's FFConnect99. And everybody, go ahead and reach out to at Schultz at SCHU1, the number 1 TZY. As soon as you watch this, and just make sure that on this beautiful Tuesday autumn day, he's doing okay.
He's still alive. Yeah.
We got to go give him virtual hugs. So we will see you next time, and we hope you win.
We hope you win. Peace out, everybody.